Boy, what a difference a day can make. But was there something we should have thought about at the end of Tuesday's game that mattered?
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show today. Today's episode is brought to you by Tax Network USA. Sorry, my computer's being weird, everyone. I apologize. Did you know that it's never too late to resolve your tax issues with the IRS? Don't wait, reduce your tax debit, and get help from a team of licensed tax professionals. Call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon today. I am Jeff Ellis, one of your two co-hosts. We have a lot to talk about today. I don't want to spend too much time here. Justin and I just did 17 shows in a row pre-gaming before we started this one. In terms of data, we could have finished the whole month just in the myriad of conversations we had off air. But for those who do not know me, I'm Jeff Ellis, one of the co-hosts here of Locked On Guardians. I am one of the original hosts of the Locked On MLB Network, as well as a former national writer at Scout and 24/7 on prospects and the draft, and your fifth favorite blogger at every Cleveland sports blog that has ever existed, an occasional contributor to Prospects Live.
I'm Justin Ladd. I've been covering the Guardians minor league system since 2007. You can find some of my writing in the past at Guardians Baseball Insider, where I was the former editor, and now at the News Herald and the Morning Journal as a freelancer, and also doing some prospect scouting at Prospects Live. This is Locked On Guardians, your daily Cleveland Guardians podcast. We are diving in to everything, every day on the Guardians, in the majors, the minors, and the draft. Lots on the draft today in the second half again. So if you're ready for your daily fix of Cleveland Guardians discussion that you're not going to get anywhere else, you've come to the right place. We are happy to have you. Thank you for being everydayers. And thank you to all of you who listened to Tuesday's episode, or Wednesday's episode, I should say. After a loss, we had a lot of people interested. We really appreciate that, because normally after a loss, people aren't tuning in as much. Maybe it had something to do with the draft, and you guys are crushing it. Still listening to the Cooper Ingle interview. By the way, he had a 2-run homer on Wednesday for a 3-hit day on Tuesday. So Cooper Ingle, friend of the show, congratulations on the Locked On Guardians bump.
Yeah, Locked On Guardians bump. Let players know. That's one of the things we were discussing. We have one agency that really likes us. So you're like, oh, if they take this guy, he's going to be on the show. Or if they take this guy, he's going to be on the show. There's a potential.
Stay tuned.
There's a potential first rounder, someone they could take in the comp round that he'll be on the show later this summer if they take him.
Yeah, it could be a lot of fun. And today's episode, we've got a little bit on why the Tuesday's loss should have mattered a little more than we thought. We'll talk about Tanner Bibee's fantastic performance, and we're hoping to spend a serious chunk of today's episode on 2 mock drafts that dropped today, and kind of deciphering a little more noise and money and why this is starting to make some more sense. And Jeff and I spent a lot of time off the air talking ourselves into it. All that in segment 3. So please stick around, or if you just want more draft talk. But I think you want to talk about Wednesday's win. It was a very good feeling win. The Guardians got off to a 3-0 lead. You got a home run from Stephen Kwan, which wouldn't have happened, by the way, without Bo Naylor's 2-out double. And I texted Jeff. I know you weren't watching at that point, but Jeff, I texted you and I said, okay, so in that at bat, Bo Naylor swings and he is off. He is late on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball that was like not quite center cut, but it was up and in, a pitch he probably should have handled. And I was like, man, he just didn't see that pitch. Like he wasn't on it. Like it was 94, and it was like, I want to say like belly button high and inside. I'm like, that's a pitch Bo Naylor should crush. And then the next pitch comes by and it's 95 down the chute for 1-2. And I'm like, where is he right now mentally? Like, what's happening? Fouls off a couple more fastballs, stays in the at bat, and took another pitch. And he got a cookie. He got another fastball that he missed the first time. He didn't miss the second time. Ended up with 2 hits on the night. So great for Bo Naylor. I mean, honestly, at this point with Bo Naylor, until he starts turning things around consistently, I think you're looking at him as a bonus offensive contributor, and that's what he did in this game, which you're thrilled with, right? And then Stephen Kwan is just hotter than the temperature of Cleveland right now. He got the 2-run homer after that. Love the swing he put in that ball. Go back and watch the highlight if you didn't see it live, or watch it a second time. I mean, I would love to go back and see the swing velocity or the bat speed on that, because he took an absolute cut at that ball and he hammered it. It's one of those at bats that he always talks about where he was up in the count, and if he wanted to go for a pitch, he can, and he absolutely did it. So after Tuesday's kind of nauseous feeling loss, that 3-0 lead felt great, and that was more than enough for Tanner Bibee, who was just killing it in this game, which we'll talk about in segment 2. But Jeff, the end of Tuesday night, this team was down 6-2 after 5 innings, and it felt very yucky McKenzie didn't pitch good. It was probably the worst performance of the year for him, to be honest with it. And his body language is bad. And after the game, he looked very dejected about it, which understandably so. But this offense, despite the fact the bullpen couldn't put up any zeros on Tuesday, the offense made it back to 8-5. They forced the Mariners bullpen to throw a lot of pitches. They scored some runs. They never quit. And this team on Wednesday didn't have the body language of a team that played a yucky game on Tuesday. This was a team that looked like they flushed whatever happened early. They scrapped back late, did what they could, almost came back, had the tying run up a couple times, didn't come through. And it was like this team just totally avoided the pitfall of that stinky loss. A lot of people were ready for the shoe to drop with that loss because of how Toronto went. Much better body language from the team all day today.
Yeah, and I think that's something we need to stop doing. We've talked about like this team.
Yes, after one loss or two or three bad games.
It's like this team all year has
they're resilient.
They've come back, and on top of that, it's like it's not just that they're resilient. It's like they've had so many reasons to not be successful. We've talked about all the things, and they keep being successful. Even in a game like yesterday's where the bullpen was bad, McKenzie was out before 3 innings were done. They fought back. I mean, it was a contest. Win, lose, or draw. It was a contest.
They had the tying run up a couple times.
And they had opportunity. I mean, they had the tying run on in the 9th. They could have, or maybe it wasn't the 9th, maybe it was the 8th. But they kept fighting, and that's the thing. This team, if you give up on them, it's your own darn fault because they keep fighting. They keep finding ways. They keep working. And I can totally understand why JP Crawford was ticked off. Like he I think even as homers, we can admit like
a drink.
Our locked on Mariners friends helped get something together. They sent him a pizza in the clubhouse, which is pretty funny. Shout out to the Locked On Mariners people.
We'll talk about Bibee in the next segment a little bit.
But I mean, this Mariners team is almost aggressively Ohio with Canzone and Rayleigh in the lineup on some days.
Who's had the best series so far?
Yeah, so it's
and Dylan Moore.
But yeah, this was a game where again, they showed why this is a first place team. And when you look at the third place team, Kansas City, you kind of see why they're there now.
Struggling with Oakland, who fell off late. Yeah.
It's one of those things. This team doesn't quit. They don't give up. Tanner, yes, he got some assistance, but he was fantastic. The bullpen did its job.
He really didn't need any assistance. Well, you mean JP Crawford's at bat.
Well, I mean, a few. It was not a great umpired game. Robot umpires now, robot umpires tomorrow, robot umpires forever.
ABS is coming.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that was a Russian oligarch there and not a someone else that I'm parroting. But
1984.
It's just this team. They're fun, right? Like this was a fun game to watch. Everyone was going on all cylinders. I mean, Josh Naylor struggled so badly, and yeah, he hit 2 home runs, which is hopefully this is a sign.
One was a 3-0 absolute just rip shot. Like he was from his heels.
This is kind of Josh Naylor though, right? It's like month on, month off. Like he is either really hot or he's kind of mid. And over the course of the year, it's why he's probably not going to be an all-star again. It's like the consistency has not been there, but you'll take.
I don't know. Have you seen first base in the American League?
I really
haven't. It's not great. It's not good. It's pretty bad.
I have not looked first base in the American League. I got to be honest.
Between the draft is like really
between
rough,
the draft and this
top
team.
vote getter.
Well, that's because Toronto's aren't they stuffing the ballot box yet again?
Well, that's how it goes. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't know how many first basemen you take, but yeah. And then So I think that's who Josh Naylor is when he's going good. And in the month of, I shouldn't say month of May. I want to look at the month of June here. The month of June, Josh Naylor, 88 WRC plus. So give him 4 home runs. That's going to jump quite a bit. The BABIP's pretty low. Hopefully that means things are going to come around for him a little bit, but hopefully he's back. The good, you were mentioning the other day about the base running being kind of lackadaisical lately. I forget what inning it was, but they stole a run because Jose beat out a play at first base, and Jimenez ended up scoring from second on 2 outs because he didn't stop running. Like, so they stole a run based on that. They did all the things they do well when they're winning. Like, that's what they do well.
Do you know who has the highest WAR amongst first basemen in the American League right now?
Ryan Mountcastle.
Carlos Santana.
our king, our high Sox king. The guy
It's either
who
him
my
or
wife calls his pants clam diggers.
Yeah, unless you want to call Salvador Perez a first baseman. No, he's
No,
spending more time there.
no.
It's Carlos Santana is number 1, Kaneha 2,
No
Vlad
bad
Guerrero
words about
3,
Carlos Santana, no matter who he plays
Josh
for.
Naylor 4, Mountcastle is 5. But yeah, no, Carlos Santana. I would love if he was the. Can he be the Twins' only representative? I don't know how they're doing as a team, but that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Just a good game overall. Makes you feel good. The one thing I will stress too about feeling good about this game is it's okay to feel good about it, not being negative, but parlay the momentum. So I want to see what this team looks like on Thursday in the finale. Yeah. You've got Logan Allen, who's got 2 back-to-back good starts. The Mariners' offense, they were good Tuesday. They're not really in first place because their offense. They are in first place because they're pitching, and I guess they can hit sometimes but Tristan McKenzie was bad. They just need a really good outing. I shouldn't say great. They need a solid outing from Logan Allen. They don't need a Bibee outing. Most of the bullpen was rested, so Gaddis is probably down. Barlow is probably down because they're 2 days in a row. But Class A is rested. He only threw 7 pitches. The rest of the guys didn't throw. Unfortunately, Salen's on the IL now with a lower back issue.
But you got
bullpen's rested.
The Darren Cogden effect.
That's right. You don't need a lot of innings from him, but you need solid ones. Also, kudos to the offense. Brian Wu, the Mariners have been very careful with him this year in terms of pitch count because of elbow issues. They made him throw 64 pitches in 4 innings. They only took 1 walk, but they were probably very aware of how careful the Mariners are with him. So good at bats there. All right, we got to talk about Tanner Bibee, and then we're going to get into a ton of draft stuff. So please stick around for much more fun stuff on today's Locked On Guardians. Have you ever been in an issue with taxes? We've all been there with taxes. Here at Locked On Guardians, we do pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team. If it's the offseason, the draft, of course, spring training, Jeff's favorite time of year, and the playoffs. It is year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection season, unfortunately. Just because tax season's over doesn't mean the IRS is going to stop coming after you if you don't file your taxes. The IRS will garnish your wages, levy bank accounts, and even seize property. Don't let them target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. Look, as 1099ers, we have to file all kinds of weird taxes. And as someone who works out of state remotely full-time, my tax situation is bonkers. I have to pay someone to do it too. I probably will be paying Tax Network USA to figure all that stuff out. They have 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. Tax Network USA has saved clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, things are complicated, family planning, or you've hit that parlay this season and you need help filing correctly, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockdown and see the link in the episode description below. And life insurance, of course, is one of those things that we have to talk about from time to time as well, even if it's not something really fun. And that's why it's important to talk about Policy Genius. Life is unpredictable. And honestly, if you have a high-risk job or if you change jobs, I've talked multiple times about how my company got sold and my policy didn't come with me. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options are even 100% online, and you can avoid unnecessary medical exams, which is great. And the great thing about Policy Network is that Policy Genius is that they aren't beholden to one insurer, so they're going to help you find the best policy, and they don't have an incentive to recommend anybody else, so you can trust them. And if you don't trust that, trust the thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who did find the best fit for their needs. So get peace of mind by finding the right insurance with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you can save. That's policygenius.com. And if you're looking for some good local coverage of your favorite sports teams, don't watch Fox Sports. Don't watch ESPN. They're screaming. You don't like that. That's no fun. Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you to bring you the biggest stories about all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news from teams that know from people that know your teams locally, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we cover your team every day. And Jeff, we've been covering Tanner Bibee since the day he was. Feels like the day since he was born.
Born. I was thinking the same thing. It feels like since he was born in the eyes of the prospect community, at least.
We are probably the biggest fans of Tanner Bibee without having the last name Bibee.
Yeah,
so,
that didn't produce him. I feel like we might even beat some people who have the last name Bibee.
Maybe.
But
what a great game, though, man. He was just on it from pitch one.
And
this is also for him carryover from last start. He threw one bad pitch to Jamer Candelario, who was hot as
two bad pitches to Candelario.
The first one, I'll give him. I don't know. I'll give him the first one, but
it felt like it set a tone too. Like I don't know if later in that game, like Gaddis had so much swagger when he came off. It just felt like Bibee set a tone for everyone. Like, and I think it carried over.
That's what aces do. That's what aces do.
Exactly.
They set the tone. Aces come out and they know that the thing yesterday happened with Tristan McKenzie. When aces sense that the team needs you, and that's when guys thrive in this spot, and aces step up in the spot, and that's exactly what he did. They needed a big performance from him. They needed him to eat innings. He did more than eat innings, but that's what they needed from him. And you're a stopper. I mean, I don't think there were any bad vibes in the clubhouse. I don't think there were any bad vibes in general. I think most of that was just out in the Twitter sphere. But you definitely want to go out there and quash like this kind of like meh stretch where you were kind of meh in Toronto and you had a rough start to Tuesday's game after an off day, and you've got a big stretch ahead. Like you said, you go out there and you set the vibe. You set the vibe. Tanner Bibee did that. I still think that this is your guy. When the ALDS gets here, I'm still sticking with it. That's your guy. Game one, you feel good about handing him the ball, and I still think over the course of this year he is going to mature into that guy. He wants it. He's developing his pitches. He's building up. Career high in strikeouts last week. Career high in strikeouts now again this week against two very, I don't know, the Reds are a good offense, right? Despite their ballpark, they're still good offense.
Yeah, they're a good offense. I mean, that's a team that's put together.
This lineup strikes out a lot. They're underwhelming in terms of production. Name-wise, they're not the worst, but either way, I mean, it didn't matter. The Mariners didn't even need to bring a bat to home plate for the most of the night, and J.P. Crawford might as well not have. That was poor J.P. Crawford. I was texting back and forth with another gentleman with the last name of Bibee, friend of the show. We were talking about, was it the last one? It wasn't. It was Mitch Haniger's curveball strikeout that got on the nerves of the Mariners. And J.P. Crawford got kicked out, and then it was Scott Service. But there was a curveball that was just right on the black against Mitch Haniger, and people were complaining about it on Twitter. And I was like, that's a great pitch. Like, you can't spot it any better than that. I will say, I guess we're giving credit to Bo Naylor here, but we're also giving credit to the ABS, which this wouldn't benefit Tanner, but 3 pitches tonight for J.P. Crawford were not strikes, and I don't even know who the home plate umpire was, but he said they were strikes. And
he had an important plane.
Had a plan. Maybe he had some room service to get home too. I don't know.
I don't know. It was. We are complaining. We're more having fun with it. But I mean, Tanner was great no matter what. But when you give a pitcher pitching the way he is extra help, it's just you got no shot. Like,
that's how you get 12 strikeouts on 93 pitches. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He didn't really need the help. It would have, and even if he didn't get those calls, I don't think anything would have changed. The offense was looking pretty good. They hit the ball hard. And
they won 8-0. That there's only so much that
Bibee was locked in anyway. So even if he didn't get those calls, I think he'd have been just fine. And just love the way he's progressing right now. I see much more from him in the second half as he builds up. But good feeling all around there. Again, this is all the stuff you're looking for in an ace. A stopper from a losing streak and a guy that can get you some good innings on a night after where things went kind of ugly with your starter and your bullpen. All right. We have a lot to go into about the draft. 2 mock drafts are out. There's a whole bunch of weird noise. Jeff and I probably spent an hour before we even started recording talking about it. We're trying to figure it all out, and we're going to help you figure it out here too on the rest of today's Lockdown Guardians.
So our sponsor today are the good people over at StitchFix.com. And I've talked about Stitch Fix before because this is a service that my wife loves. My wife is a constant user of Stitch Fix. We have 2 kids, and she is a college professor. I am a teacher. I also have this, which is a part-time, full-time job to do the podcast. What we don't have is time, and that's what Stitch Fix is going to give you, because you get essentially a whole new style on the limited time you have, and it's just an easy way to upgrade your wardrobe, to get a whole new business wardrobe if you need that, if you're changing where you are in life. But more importantly, it's like the stylist gets to know you and they send you things that you'll use. And my wife, again, she didn't use this promo code because she's refusing to start anew. She loves her stylist. She loves this service so much. She didn't care about $20. $20 wasn't worth the cost of having to start fresh. It's a style that's going to make you feel as good as you look. Now's the best time to get started. StitchFix.com/MLB, all capitals, and get $100 off. That's $20 off your first 4 fixes for a limited time only. I got to tell my wife that they've increased this deal. Maybe she'll switch now, but I doubt it. That's StitchFix.com/MLB for $100 off. StitchFix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of sign up. Offer does not include kids fixes. Mute alert. Mute alert.
I just got to do that right away. Game 3 of this series, a rubber match from the Guardians and the Mariners, is at 110. If you've already listened to this, you should turn that on next, and you can catch that action on your Sirius XM app while you are working or doing your midday workout, having a little bit of lunch, whatnot. All right, Jeff. Oh, I had to take some heartburn medicine after reading these mock drafts and going through all of the write-ups in them and just trying to talk through. Off the air, we kind of talked ourselves into JJ Weatherholt for a reason. But I think the real question here is it's not ideal, but I think we have to at least consider that JJ Weatherholt is a serious option for them at 1-1 right now. It's not Bazana or Condon or nobody. It could be very one of those 3.
I thought it was very weird. So one of them was Keith Law, whereas everyone is like, they're not going Condon. He had Condon. He also had some statements about batted ball data that you and I have the batted ball data that we know just isn't true.
Doesn't match up.
Doesn't match up. So I think
we just got to, even for me.
I really like Keith. I spent a lot of time of him being one of my favorite prospect guys, but I think right now you talk to people in the community, you kind of read out of interest, and he's not, what I love about Keith now is he's not afraid to have a take that's out there. He will completely, have something that like Rocchio in the top 25 prospect. But I think we kind of just kind of move him to the side right now, because what he's saying doesn't match what everyone else is saying, and doesn't and then things that we can say are demonstrably false in there. So you move to that and you go to Kylie, who wrote, I believe, 1.5 novels today with the Cleveland pick. And then
like the whole chapter at least. Yeah.
And I talked to someone today who's pretty sure that the next mocks for Mayo and Mallow, both Mallow, that the combination of Mallow are both going to have Weatherholt 1.
Yeah.
So
this is a real possibility. I think people should be prepared for this to be a possibility. The thing I'll say with Keith and his mock is, my only question here is this: he's the only one that's had Condon 1. I think a couple other guys have had Condon, just because you're going to cycle through everybody and be like, hey, I had this guy mocked, and people are doing that. I mean, I know people don't want to believe it, but people do it.
Yeah.
There's been, but most of the write-ups, like, even, who was it the other day that wrote their mock? It was
Callis. You said that there was like no talk on Condon, right?
No. It was Baseball America. It was Carlos. And he said he had Weatherholt, so he also had Weatherholt. And he said, but I believe if this was my final mock, I would still put Bazana or Condon. But most people have said there's been almost no buzz between them and Condon.
But no, I think it was MLB. One of them said, there was, like, one of them literally said there was no buzz.
So my 2 ways of looking at that, first off, I want to get more into Weatherholt. My 2 ways of looking at that are this. A, that's complete smokescreen. There's no buzz, that it's just not getting out because this organization's tight-lipped, and the no buzz doesn't mean anything because they might be really interested. Or B, they, are skeptical too about the profile. And he does, and to be fair, Condon doesn't really fit what they do anyway. He's a guy, I know some people gave you crap for saying he could be at first base. He might play left field, he might play right field, but his best position might end up being first base. Who knows? But he doesn't really fit what they do, and there's a lot of questions about whatever on earth is going on at Georgia. If we're hearing that, the Guardians definitely know.
And he's supposed to be the highest. He has the
home
highest
road splits.
Well, and he has the highest bonus demand by reports.
Yes, we've heard that too, which absolutely knocks them out of their ballpark too for the highest bonus demand. So that's interesting. You and I, more you, because I think people who listen to the show know that money and math, just me, not good. The JJ Weatherholt thing comes into play because of the money, and before people say, of course they're being cheap. You and I don't love the strategy behind this for the money because they don't go about it in a way we prefer that hasn't worked out. Not that we don't prefer it, it just hasn't worked out for them. We can honestly say, based on how they've done this strategy, it has just blown up in their face.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Two basic examples of them going way under slot is Carson Tucker and Tyler Naquin.
We're not going to mention that name.
And the third one is Will Benson, where they did do this strategy. Will Benson was not a top 20 prospect in that draft. He was closer 20 to 30. And Nolan Jones was also 20 to 30. So they did so that's the most successful version of it.
The other end of this, Jeff, though, is the soft tissue injury with the hamstrings.
That scares me.
That is the worst part, because based on the data we have, you and I both know, this is how we talked ourselves into Weatherholt a little more off the air, is that the data matches up pretty strongly between Bazana and Bazana and Weatherholt. I'm sorry. You and I both are gung-ho for Bazana. There's no doubt. Everybody knows that if you're an everydayer. The data is very strong, has a strong correlation from the two of them. The data is very similar. You and I think Bazana has probably more power output in the future than Weatherholt.
Just in terms of how similar it is, like in terms of chase rate and in terms of contact, it's under a percentile difference between them. Both are in, and they're also the guys who they're over 108 for power. Now, Bazana is almost 109 and he's close to 108. But one could then make the case, hey, Bazana's maxed out, but Bazana's also got like 2 inches on him. I know one of our everydayers, Smokey Gator, likes to tease us about Bazana being 5'9". Bazana's probably like 5'11", like in fairness, but JJ Weatherholt is legitimately 5'8", 5'9", which
probably 5'9", yeah. That's scary because he is smaller, and the soft tissue thing does concern you. And again, this is another piece that's blown up in their face. They have not been afraid of injured guys in order to try to capitalize on a market inefficiency.
But all of them have gotten hurt.
Yes,
all of them have gotten hurt.
Brady Aiken blew up in their face. Chase the Water is blowing up in their face right now. Gavin Williams was off the board for some people, you said, and he's hurt right now. Yeah. Daniel Espino was off the board for a lot of guys because of the same issue.
I mean, he's been terrible. You can go find the draft night review I have of that pick where I'm like, he's going to get hurt before he gets to the big leagues. Like, he's going to miss at least one entire year.
And people killed you for that. And guess what? Not that I don't dislike Daniel Espino. We're not cutting him down. But
I would love him to be here.
3 years.
I would love for him to be here. He had DeGrommian upside. I wish I was wrong.
A case we wish we were wrong. Yeah. I wish you were wrong on Aiken. Wish you were wrong on. I mean, I liked. And here's the difference between this. I did like the DeLauder pick. Here's the difference between these picks,
he was a top 3 guy for me on the board at that point. It was him, Drew Gilbert, and Sam Collier. Like, he was a top 3 player. It was the small
school and the foot injury thing that was the ding there. But
and he couldn't hit lefties.
The other problem with this is, he couldn't hit lefties. The other problem with this is it's the injuries. The Cleveland acts like, the injuries don't matter. They're getting a deal. Like, they thought they were getting a steal with Aiken and Espino and Williams and DeLauder because they should have gone way higher. And I totally agree with that. I understand it. But those instances, they were picking 15, 20, 25. You are picking 1-1. You don't need to play that game with Weatherholt. The problem is he close enough to Bazana where it's worth cutting the $2 million? And again, we talked about this in yesterday's
show. Probably closer to 1.5. It's honestly closer to 1.5 million. To me, it's not.
I hope it's 2 because
they can't. Weatherholt's at the combine. You can only take 75% of slot, so he has to get 80. Yeah, but
that's $2 million.
But I'm saying the difference is Bazana's not getting full slot. Most he's getting is 9.5.
Oh, I see. Okay,
so it's only a $1.5 million difference here, like between those players. Now, I'm going to interrupt because there is a world. Like, I was talking to someone today who's like, the way they described it to me from when they're talking to scouts is that Cleveland is building their draft, and this is, people are going to be pissed. I can already feel it, from the back forward. They're building it from the back of day one to the forward of day one,
which
means
is 84, 48, 36.
No, it's just 48, 36, 1. Day one only goes
84 is day 3 or 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So they are trying to lock up guys in overslot
3
deals.
first rounders.
They're trying to get 3 first. And there is a world where, for instance, let's say you do. Okay, so I went and pulled the data, and I have this up. Last year, 3 guys got over 8 million. Last year, 5 guys got 7 million. 5 guys got 6 million. How many got 5? Well, that would be 8, 9. So there is a world where maybe someone like Bryce Renier or Connor Griffin, if you're saying, hey, go to 36, we'll give you 6.5. If they tell teams, no, we're not going to sign, there is a world where maybe you can get one of them at 36 or 48, where you just completely but if you are doing Weatherholt with him, that is, if you're doing 6.5, that's 14.5 million. That leaves you, if I'm doing real quick math, 4.7 million for your next 9 picks. Then day 3, you can offer everyone 150K. I believe that's the max. So there is a world where
go over on that, but yeah,
you put a lot of your eggs in one basket, but then at the same time, if you really wanted to do that,
3 first round talents in theory.
What happens though, then I think the difference here then is if you go, let's say Weatherholt, that huge guy at 36, if you go Weatherholt, then that 1.5 that you're not spending on Bazana, that's where you're using it at 36. You're using that to lock in another high value player.
Guy who's a top 20 player.
Yeah. Because, round 2, last year's highest bonuses in round 2, I've got it in front of me here. How many players got over 2 million in round 2? 5, 6. 6 guys, no, 7. 6 got over, and only 1 got 3 million. So,
and this is what we said on the show the other day. We said if you are doing JJ Weatherholt at 1, you have to have an ace up your sleeve at 36 and 48. This would be how they do it. So, yeah.
I'm saying I was just saying we can go 2 more minutes here.
Yeah, but that's what you do, and that's how we're talking ourselves into it, because the data is similar on Weatherholt, and if they have an ace up in the hole at 36-48, but I still
Weatherholt can run.
Go.
Weatherholt has a better chance to play shortstop, and Weatherholt does run better. And Weatherholt's going to
hamstrings are healthy.
I know, but Weatherholt's probably going to be a top 5 to 6 guy on my board. But Bazana's still my 1, and I still, as much as I want to talk myself into it because I'm afraid it's going to happen, I still don't want it to happen. And I think to me the ideal draft is it's Bazana, it's probably someone like Braylon Dowdy, or trying to get someone
Shields,
Shields, and then at 48 it's Sirota, and then top around 3 Cole Mathis, who I didn't get to yesterday. Like, apparently he kills sliders. We learned at the combine, and
that's
he
a
had
big deal.
Yeah, like he had a slugging percentage over 700 versus sliders, and some other great data. So I think there's a lot going on.
Yeah, we didn't get to Kylie mentioned Jack Caglione in the mock. We both feel like that's smoke. He says they very much considering, but he just feels like not their type. You and I are the low men on Jack, but it is what it is. We'll see.
There's very few guys with
like
his chase rate. Chase rates don't improve. Let's just put that out there.
No,
chase rates don't improve. They get worse as you get older, not better.
And they're not going to save a ton of money picking him 1-1 where they would with Weatherholt.
He's got a chance.
He's going to go top 3. Yeah,
he's probably going to go top 3, top 5.
So tomorrow's show we'll wrap up the series against the Mariners. Hopefully, it's a good outing from Logan Allen, and they beat Luis Castillo, who they've had success against the past. We'll see how that goes. We've got a couple of down the board players from the combine and just things we've heard. We'll talk about. We have much more to talk about in terms of the draft. We can tell you guys are loving that based on the numbers. Really appreciate that. And next week it'll be interesting because Jeff's sitting on vacation, so you're going to hear a lot of my voice whether you like it or not. I might we'll see how the microphone's set up. But thank you all for joining us. Remember to rate and review, download daily like you did yesterday. Thank you all. And as always, go Guardians, go. Let's win this series against Seattle.